Egg Show. I'm your host, Ben Gothard, and today we have the honor of speaking with Paul Melella. How you doing today, Paul?
I'm super peachy, fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for carving out the time, because I really want to ask you, what is your story?
What is my story? That's a really great question. I believe we all have stories. Uh, to start from probably from the beginning, I was 7 years old. I was bullied as a kid. I wasn't that big. I wasn't that athletic or popular. I had a childhood bully. His name was Tommy Gonzalez. He lived on my bus. He was in my second grade class. He was on my baseball team. Pretty much every day, wherever he was, I was there, and he kind of beat the crap out of me. My parents put me in martial arts, and secretly I trained for about 6 to 8 months, and I developed a lot of self-confidence, self-esteem, learned how to defend myself. And when that time came, when I got off the bus, I remember vividly getting off of Cherry Lane in Putnam Valley, New York, and walking down the street, and there Tommy was, and he went to pick on me. I finally had the confidence to stand up to him, and he ended up never picking on me ever again. We were childhood best friends. Ironically, I was his best man in his wedding, and I was his best man in his second wedding. So I thank him every day for beating me up, because if he wouldn't, it would have never led me to martial art training. Fast forward, I trained in martial arts and Taekwondo since I was, again, 7 years old. I got into competition, and I found my niche, or something that really helped me with confidence, self-esteem. And I fell in love with competition, and that led me into opening up and teaching martial arts. Since I was 14, 15, I was a teacher. And when I was 18, 19, I managed a business for my previous instructor and boss. And by the time I was 21, I ended up purchasing that first business from him. And that led me to inspiring children and kids and families. And before you know it, I wanted to help more people. And from there, fast forward, I ended up writing a book with some other co-authors called You Have Infinite Power. And we are now able to kind of take life philosophies that I have learned, because I never graduated college. And here I am. I own multiple commercial real estate buildings that house my martial art businesses, but I wanted to help more people. And I just got inundated with self and personal development, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in my own personal growth. And that kind of came back to me tenfold. And I found myself wanting to inspire and impact other people. And from that book, we were able to formulate another company called Empowered Mastery. And I was just a platform speaker up in Buffalo yesterday, the day before, and I'm able to inspire other people to create what I call multidimensional success. I don't believe that success should be experienced in one area. They should be experienced in multiple areas. And martial arts has helped me learn how to focus and develop that balance in all areas of my life. I'm just taking those life philosophies and sharing that with people that would have never walked into my martial arts schools.
So you mentioned how there are some philosophies of life that you've developed along the way. What are they? Like, what are those different philosophies? I'd love to go really deep into those.
Those are really great questions. My life philosophy is, I believe that you have to be able to have balance in multiple areas. And Taekwondo and martial arts has helped me develop that. There's in the martial arts, there's and there's yang. There's soft and there's hard, right? And in life, we have ups and downs, and there's got to be some type of balance within certain things. And in my world, I can have a very successful business or organization that I've created, but yet if I am horrible in my relationship with my wife, I don't think that's being successful. I have other people that I know that are very spiritual, and whatever their belief is in their higher power, but yet if they can't pay their bills, I don't think that's successful. I have people that are maybe physically fit, but yet internally they don't know about true health and vitality, constantly get sick, and yet it steals away time. And time, I think, is the most valuable thing that we all have. We can never get that back. So everyone's got a different definition of success. I'm not here to say what is right, what's wrong, but what I do know is success should be experienced in multiple areas of their life. And, in martial arts, I've learned to focus and I've learned to create discipline. And so focus is able to kind of put energy and attention into a certain task at hand or project, or in my world, area of life. Discipline. It's so funny. A lot of people say, "Oh, you're so disciplined," in the martial arts. My title, I even like to use that term, but it's Grandmaster Melella. We recently came back from Korea in April, and I tested for 7th-degree black belt, and everyone says, "Oh, Grandmaster Melella, you're so disciplined," and I laugh. I go, "You know what? Everybody's disciplined. It's all how you apply your discipline and habits." Some people go to bed late and they sit watching garbage television. Some people read. Some people wake up later in the day and get as much as they can do to get ready and go to work. Or some people get up early and meditate and have tea with their family and exercise and read positive material to get their mind right. Everyone, I believe, is disciplined. So I believe that some of the principles I've learned through martial arts and my way of living can be applied to people that don't have to take martial arts to apply those principles in their overall life. So it's so funny. One of my past coaching clients just started a blog, and I saw it on LinkedIn, and he had a little clip talking about how he meditates, and he's a business professional. He's in the financial services industry, but he shared how he was taught how to meditate, and how that clears his mind of the mind trash that goes on in pretty much any business in anyone's life. And I was so happy and proud that I was a small inspiration in this man's life to learn how to meditate, breathe, clear his mind. And he's now adapting those principles that I shared with him into his daily practice. He doesn't take martial arts. So, those are some of the ways that I believe that the things I've learned in martial arts has helped me personally and helped other people that don't have to be a martial art practitioner.
So I'm actually so very interested in this idea of like multidisciplined. It's almost like organizing your life into different disciplines
It is, yes,
so that
sir.
it's easier to make sense of it in your head, so that you're like, okay, there's, let's say, emotional, intellectual, spiritual. I literally have written on my board 7 core disciplines of financial, industrial, physical, spiritual, emotional, relational, and intellectual. Right. And so I am so on your wavelength right now. And like, I think it is so helpful because when you organize it like that, you give yourself the advantage of understanding, like, okay, I need to make progress here today, or I need to make progress here today, or okay, these are the things I want to accomplish in these different areas. So I'm curious to learn, how do you, like, what are your different disciplines? I would imagine they're similar to mine, but what are your different disciplines, and how did you decide to break them up into those specific, those specific things?
Yes, sir. To make it simpler, I love how you have all those things in categories. And, I've identified 14 areas of life, not to go into them all at once, but just keep it simple. We call it our core 4. Think of 4 tires in a car. And I don't care if I have a Ferrari, but which I don't. I have a Jeep. I'm a big Jeep guy. But if I have a really awesome vehicle, car, whatever you love, but if it has 3 flat tires, the car can't drive.
You're screwed.
It's screwed. Yes, sir. I don't care if it's got a flat, a leak, whatever. And so I look at life like a vehicle. So to keep it simple, I want 4 tires, and I call that my core 4. Now, everyone's different. depending on what area, what season of life that you're in. I believe I'm in a summer season of my life. I've been in business for over 20 years. I've been married for 19. I have 2 kids. I'm 45 years old. So in my world, I'm in the summer season of my life. But if someone's not married and doesn't have kids and they're starting their business, they're in the spring season of their life. So your areas may be different than mine. So here are my 4. My first number 1 area of life is health and vitality. Okay. I kind of stack that with fitness as well. So there's a difference there. You know, there's health and vitality, which I consider internal health and vitality. Then there's also like physical appearance or fitness. It's external, like it's how I want to look physically, right? A lot of people get confused. One's internal, one's external. I like to stack those two into one tire, so to speak. That for me is my number 1 area of life. And some people might say, oh my goodness, like that's more important than your family. It is, because I can have the best business. I can make a ton of money. I have a beautiful family and wife. But if have heart disease, cancer, if I die, it doesn't mean squat. Okay. Right. So from my world,
and then they don't have you. And then they don't have you if you don't have your health.
Mm-hmm. You know, I can't be here inspiring or creating value or whatever it may be. So for me, that's number 1. Yeah. And again, I'm not here to superimpose my values on anyone, but that's just me. My second tire is my relationships. Now I define that as my intimate relationship with my wife, because how I look at it is my wife, Gina, and I, we're like a foundation. If any house is built, if it's got a poor foundation, the house is going to collapse. So I got to put attention and focus into my wife. Focus and attention. Remember I said martial arts helped me focus, right? So now I put focus and attention on there. The third area is family, meaning my children or my parents or my siblings. I think they're 2 different areas, okay? A lot of people may argue this with me. It's funny. I have some clients that have many kids. You know, it's some of my clients are Orthodox Jewish faith, and they have like 10 kids, right? And they're like, no, Paul, it's the same. And I said, Joseph, do I have permission to speak freely? And he goes, of course, I love you, Paul. I go, how many kids do you have? He's like, 10. I go, oh, yeah? I go, well, are you still intimate with your wife? Of course, Paul, we have 10 kids. So I'm like, all right, Joseph, are all 10 kids in the bedroom while you're making love with your wife? And he goes, no. And everyone starts laughing. I go, dude, it's 2 different things. You know, if I go to Disney World with my family, it's family time. But if I take my wife to, you know, Cancun to turn high, it's relationship time. You know, so there are 2 different areas of our life. There's 2 different focuses. There are 2 different time block periods in my day that I block off for my wife and then I block off with my kids. My 4th area is career or work or money. So right now, this is you and I, we scheduled this, didn't we, Ben? Yeah. We scheduled this meeting today. This is an appointment career-wise, work-wise, you know, but at 5 o'clock in the morning, I had an appointment with myself to meditate. You know, at 6:15 in the morning, I had an appointment with myself to stretch and say empowering statements that I practice. You know, at 6:30, I had an appointment with my wife and my kids to have tea time. We do a Korean tea ceremony. I'm not home at 5, 6 o'clock to sit down and have dinner or supper with my wife and kids like I was this traditional Italian New York, you know, family my parents did for me. I don't have that right now, but I make that up at 6 in the morning to have tea, and we spend time talking, having tea with each other. I had an appointment with myself at 7 o'clock or 7:15 to meal prep. I had an appointment with my trainer to work out at 8. Yeah, I had an appointment with all my clients. So everything is time blocked within my core 4. So I have appointments around my health. I have appointments around my time with my wife, appointments around my time with my kids or my family, even if it's as simply as before, because my brother's also my partner in my martial art organization, we had a quick call with our mom. I mean, it could take 5 minutes, you know what I mean? But that's scheduled and it's an appointment. And so what I say is, what am I going to do and how am I going to time block my day effectively around my core four. And to me, that goes into discipline. And that's success habits. So it's focus, meaning where am I going to focus my attention and energy within my core four? And how do I schedule and time block my most effective action steps that will enhance my core four areas of life? To me, that's creating multidimensional success.
So how do you actually go about, by the way, I love that. I
Thank you,
absolutely
sir.
love that system. How did you go about figuring out the specific order in which you structure your day? Because all the four tires are critical,
Yes, sir.
and all of those things are extraordinarily important, and they involve other people. So how did you, I mean, did you test different things and you're like, okay, this is where I feel the most whole, or the absolute best? And then, like, how did you actually go about figuring out those specific times?
It's so funny. So my mind's weird, right? So it's like, what helps? What are certain triggers that help put me in the right mindset? And so I have found, like, if I didn't wake up and meditate or stretch before I met my kids for tea time, I'm off, right? I'm not in the right frame of mind. So for me personally, what is the number one area of my life? Well, it's health and vitality. All right, good. So what are certain things that I need to do before I see Gina, my wife, or my kids? Well, you know what? I found that it's kind of like a pregame. It's an athlete that has a certain routine before they step on the field. That is one of the things that I found to help put myself in the right frame of mind before I'm present with my family. Because when I come out and I meditate and I stretch and I say empowering statements at 6:30 when I'm done and it's tea time, even I have an 11 and a 13-year-old. Imagine what that's like if you remember when you're that age, middle school, high school, going to high school, what it's like to wake them up and get them ready for school. My son could be kind of dictating the energy of our tea time, right? So I may not want to be Master Melella or Grandmaster Melella at the time. I want to be Darth Vader and kind of choke him out. But so I have to be really calm, right? So when I find myself doing that type of activity before we sit down, I'm more effective. And then I also know, in order for me to do a call like this, or a coaching call, or have an appointment with a student or a client, or if I'm in the martial art world and I'm going to teach a class, I need to work out. So I do all those things. Like after I get the kids on the bus and after I meal prep, I train. For me personally, that gets me in the right mindset. Before I jump on a coaching call like this morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, I worked out first. I felt great. So I was at my peak mental and emotional and physical state, so I can deliver the most effective coaching call for my client. So in my world, it's like before I hit the door, I want to hit my core four. That means before I hit the door to my office or my home, I'm going to hit certain things within that day that hit my core four areas of life. Ideally for me is any meditating or training, eating well before I see Gina and before I see my two kids. I do those three things, something, even if it's a half-hour tea time, or literally, funny, my wife and I, every Tuesday at 7 when the kids get on the bus, we schedule a meeting with each other. Because my wife goes, because everything's scheduled in my phone. She goes, well, I don't have an appointment in there. And I go, wow, great idea. Okay, I'm going to schedule an appointment with you, Jay. She goes, okay. So she gets an invite on her phone every Tuesday at 7 a.m. And it's like, I don't know, Ben, it's like 15, 20 minutes. What are the most important things in your week? What are the most important things in my week? Right? And for the month, we look at each other's schedule. Who's doing what for the kids? Who's doing what for the kids? If I'm traveling, if I'm not, and we have a 15, 20-minute powwow. So that's scheduled. So I get all that out of the way before I'm even on the phone, coaching, teaching, whatever I'm doing a podcast like this. And then before I leave work, I make sure that I leave everything at work. So when I go home, guess what? Cell phone's off. emails are answered. And now when I'm home, guess whose time is it?
Family.
Family, man. That's it. Nothing else matters except for family. Everything else is done. Right now, me and you have this attention toward each other. But if I'm doing this podcast and I'm being interrupted by something on my phone or a knock at the door, I'm not being present. But I'm being present with you. I'm being present with your audience. And you and I, we have to treat our family as if they're our number one clients. We also have to treat our clients as if they're our family. And that's my life philosophy, right? And I also have to treat myself as my number one client. So there are appointments that I hold accountable to myself, whether it's I eat every 3 hours, I have an appointment to eat. Throughout my day, there's a big jug of water. It's halfway of the day, halfway through the water. Every couple minutes, I'm sipping that water. I focus on disciplining my activity within those core 4 areas. To me, I feel successful, I feel fulfilled, and I feel I'm creating my definition of success in all those areas.
It's almost like, are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
I do. No, I apologize. No.
Okay, so and I'm not an expert psychologist, but I've read about it. So there's like the hierarchy of needs. Like you have to get your basic necessities, like your food, your water, your shelter. Then you need to make sure that you're safe. So the first level is like food, water, shelter. Next is like safety. The third is like community and love. The fourth is respect, and the fifth is self-actualization, where you're able to most effectively operate. It seems like you have literally built your own like Paul's hierarchy of needs, where you like the most important ones are being taken care of, and it almost seems like in the order of their importance. Like
Sure.
you hit your health, then you get relationships, then your family, and then and only then do you go to work. And it's
Yes,
like
sir.
it seems like you're almost building like a foundation of power every single day with which to then tackle the day. And because you're adhering to that routine, that enables you and gives you the power and the ability to actually accomplish the things you want to do, to have the freedom to do whatever you want to do.
100%. And as I said, my mind's weird like that. And just so everyone is clear, I wasn't like this as a kid. If you speak to my parents, my mom would say, I always knew that you would, be successful, whatever. But she's like, I don't know where you came from. She thinks I'm an alien, right? But it really, like, it was just self-awareness and just determination. And because I had so many, perceived failures or things as a child and as a teenager growing into my adulthood, that I just got sick and tired of feeling that way, and when I speak to a lot of people, there are a lot of people driving around with 3 flat tires, and in order, like, I consider myself a leader. So in order for me to lead others, I have to set an example. And I'm committed into my personal growth so I can hopefully inspire other people to live by similar practices. My grandmaster Byung-Min Kim, I look at him like I'm not even at his level of discipline, right? People look at me so disciplined. I'm like, I'm not compared to my teacher. No way. And he has been such, besides my dad being my mentor and my huge role model, he has been a very influential person in my life around this type of thinking and around this lifestyle. I really owe it all to them, which has helped me.
So when it comes to being disciplined enough to take these activities every single day, day in and day out, I mean, is there any like do you get interrupted by things, or like how flexible is it? Because I know that I have not been doing a good enough job of reaching your level of like discipline and consistency. And like I have a routine, but it's not as tightly scripted as that, which I definitely need to work on. And I have done it before, but it's like life just gets in the way and just throws me off my game. And then it's like, okay, well, I don't always get back to you. So how do you and I recognize it's all totally my responsibility, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Totally. So I'm asking because I'm curious because I want to fix it. But how do you maintain that reliability and that consistency every single day, like on vacation or with different things happening or with life? How do you keep that consistency?
It's a great question. I my my partner Chris Burlow, he says, you're like a Buddhist monk Monday through Friday, and on Saturday and Sundays you just go off on this other end, right? For a while, I was always so regiment. My wife was like, "Listen, you need to just chill out a little bit." And so I have a really strong discipline Monday through Friday or Saturday, and on the weekends, I may not wake up as early at say 5. I might wake up at 6 or 6:30. I may not meditate as long. I have a lot of non-negotiables. The non-negotiables are, for my family and I, we don't miss tea time. That is a non-negotiable, like not 100%. There's a non-negotiable around my training. Like I'm going to get some type of workout in. I don't care. It may not be the most ideal, but it's going to be something. Non-negotiable is I'm going to eat pretty healthy or drink my water throughout my day, no matter what. But I'm going to have also some time of flexibility of just, not being as disciplined. And I think I had to learn to do that. The beauty about where you are is that you're aware. You're aware and you can kind of like scale it, right? You could probably give yourself an assessment on a scale of 1 to 10 and rate yourself. Now, the only one that can do that is you. I don't know what that is for you. I can honestly rate myself on how I did in a day or a week based upon my rules. And I think that is something that everyone must decide what your rules are. Just this past Saturday, I competing in a men's like bodybuilding or physique competition. So for 10 weeks or 12 weeks, I was lights out. Like there was not a lot of room in my flexibility. I'm talking about no alcohol, no meals were missed, no cheat meals, no workouts were missed. Like I was like 10 weeks on point, man. After the show, I had some Reese's peanut butter cups. I had a beer or two. I went off a little bit over the past couple of days. And then I said to myself, all right, that's enough. And then I got back literally today, meal prepping, doing my thing again. And I think that's okay to do every now and then. You need that because because sometimes if it's over and over, you don't appreciate the other side, So what I've done is just created some rules around my life, some non-negotiables that I will make sure I don't break. And I make my rules easier to meet instead of easy to break. If you asked me that question 10, 15 years ago, my rules were so defined around my health and my training. And if I missed something, I was so stressed out and I felt like a failure, right? And I had to learn to become flexible and become more adaptive to just allow myself to meet my rules at a easier way. So, but you are right. You have to just become aware and make those adjustments.
So when you're building a new habit, did you, or when you were building this routine, building these habits, did you just go from not doing them to doing them and you're just like, all right, cold turkey, I'm in it? Or was it something where like 1 week you would add one thing and next week you'd add another thing? Was it more progressive like that?
Yeah, definitely progressive. I started meditating over 20 years ago, and my grandmaster had us meditate and 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes turn to 10 minutes, and 10 minutes to 15, 15 to 20. And, I currently, in a daily basis, Monday, maybe a work week, minimum 45 to maximum an hour, on meditation. But that was built upon, that was very progressive. Certain habits around my eating habits and my lifestyle, I added in. What's really cool is when I share or I teach or I coach or I'm helping others, I'm helping myself. So it's like I would never say something to somebody for them to do or apply if I'm not doing it or if I haven't done it. And there have been times I'm like, someone asked me a question, I'm like, oh yeah, and you should do this and that. And I go, oh my goodness, I haven't been doing that. And I'm like, I gotta do that again. How can I say and tell them to do that if I'm not doing it? So I love teaching and coaching because then it helps hold me accountable and it raises my standard up, So, that's one thing that I think that's really helped me, and then I kind of raised the bar. It's funny, and I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but before these phones were so unbelievably, the technology was so awesome. We had a Dell Palm Pilot. I don't know if you ever remember the Palm Pilots or heard of them, but this Dell Palm Pilot I had, and I would program all these success habits or these action steps, I call it, into this Palm Pilot, and like reminders. And it's 5:00 a.m. Beep beep beep. Wake up, and it would say, drink a bottle of water. Beep beep beep. Tell my wife I love her, just to get in the habit of telling her I love her. Beep beep beep. Just say your grateful statements. Beep beep beep. Meditate, and it would beep like every whatever time period, right? And it was like, I say this as a joke, beep beep beep, because it was a reminder. It was a reminder. It was a reminder. Like I programmed all these things. I was scheduling appointments with myself on those daily little action steps that revolve around my core four. And then guess what happened? Those things over time became what?
Habits.
Habits. I didn't need the Palm Pilot anymore. It's like in the martial arts, we have like this chart that we have our students fill out. Like my son would do it. And it was a checklist: make your bed, brush your teeth, do your homework. You know what I mean? At one point, you and we had to be reminded to maybe comb our hair. Well, maybe I go to the barber now, but shave, shower, make your bed, and have this checklist until it became automatic. Right? And so, but we didn't start off, it's like the people that juggle. You see those people in Vegas, they got all these plates and they didn't start with 15, 20 things. They started with one or two. So I may be sharing daily success habits or disciplines at a black belt or master level. But in the martial arts, if I had you come in, you'd maybe be admired by what the black belts and the masters and the instructors are doing, but I wouldn't start you in that class. You would start off as a white belt, and you would do white belt techniques, and you would do it until you got the hang of it, and you go to the next belt, next belt, next belt. And I think when we talk about success habits, we have to start like that in small bites. You got to be a white belt in a habit. And maybe for a lot of my clients or people out there listening, it's here's your success habit. What time do you wake up? And they go 7. Let's wake up 15 minutes earlier. Can you do that? Yeah, I could do that. Set your alarm clock for 15 minutes earlier. You know what? Let's wake up by drinking a bottle of water, and maybe let's learn how to meditate for 5 minutes and focus on our breathing. Just be one with yourself for 5 minutes and start your day like that. Maybe the next step is, you have a gratitude journal. Write 5 things you're grateful for to start your day. Just start with those things. That's not impossible. But those 1 or 2 little success habits can change someone's life, right? Just someone adding half their body weight in ounces of water can be an easy habit to change their life on their health, getting someone just to make a daily habit of blocking out time with their family for 30 minutes and schedule an appointment can change their family life. That tea time with my wife and kids changed my life, changed my family's life. And that was a direct, Grandmaster Kim, my teacher, with his Korean accent, he goes, I think you should have tea time with your family. Very important, you know? And I go, yes, sir. And I've been doing that since they've been born. My kids, walk right into our bedroom, sit down. We have this Korean tea set. Man, we have tea every morning. And when I was away this week speaking, I called them FaceTime, at 6:30 while they were having tea. That's just little habits, man, that you and I can do, change our life.
So I have a question for you, and
Yes,
this is
sir.
one I super struggle with that I go back and forth on, and it's the damn phone. In the morning, I've read from different sources, you shouldn't wake up and look at your phone. You should do other things for like at least an hour. But it's like, all right, well, part of my morning routine is to wake up, drink some water, take some vitamins, and go to the gym. And
Okay.
so I want to start with my audiobooks, and I have to look at my phone to get my
That's an awesome
audiobooks
habit,
going.
man.
You know what I mean? So it's like, is the price of getting my audiobook on, like, is that worth looking at the phone within the
I
first
don't
hour?
think that I don't think when uh, it's not the same, right? So if you're telling me, Paul, I wake up and right away I go right to my social media or I skim through the internet, that's probably what they mean. But if
Mm,
you're using that device, because you do what I do, you're maximizing your time. You're exercising and listen to an audiobook.
yep.
Driving, listen to an audiobook. I love that. That is
Mhm.
maximizing your time. That is awesome. I call that stacking action steps in multiple areas. Right. So that is awesome. So because I do the same thing. What I would agree with is if you did wake up a little earlier and you just gave yourself the gift of drinking water, brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, and just give yourself the gift to be with yourself without any device, right? And I'm alluding to like meditation, or it could be, for some people, it could be a walk, go outside in nature and walk a half a mile, walk for 15 minutes and come back, and maybe it's not with the audiobook or whatever. It's just out and listening to the nature and just be quiet. I think that is a habit that most people should at least give themselves the gift to have earlier in the morning. Um, so, but I don't think that when you go to the gym and you listen to audiobook that should count.
Well, that's a really good idea of actually adding sounds like it's maybe 15 to 30 minutes in the morning of just back that up a little bit, wake up a little bit earlier, and then
So,
take that walk or hit that meditation or do something like that. That's a really good idea. That's a really,
well,
really good
can I
idea.
ask you what time do you get up in the morning?
So this is another thing I totally have to work on. I I schedule my time based on the first interview that I have for that day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I know if I have an interview at 8 a.m., I need to be up 2 hours beforehand because I need to wake up, water, vitamins, gym, shower, interview. And I know that takes me about 2 hours and protein when I get back from the gym. I know that takes me roughly 2 hours to really do it right.
No. Now, do you dictate at 8 o'clock or someone else dictate the 8 o'clock?
So I have available between like 12 to like 6-ish that people can schedule interviews within because I want to be flexible and allow
Yes,
people to
sir.
choose within that time. So the earliest it is 12. Um, and the latest it could start would usually be around 6:30, maybe 7. So they choose within that time, but then if the earliest it would be 12. So I know I usually like to wake up you know earlier than that because I don't want to be waking up at 10 and I lost the whole morning there.
So yeah, I'm like you. I have to have that time for myself before I, do an interview or call or whatever it may be. And there may be some exceptions to that rule at times.
Mm-hmm.
Give an example. Like yesterday, we had to speak, and we had to be at an agency to present at 9 o'clock in the morning. My partner and I were up, at 5 and got our meditation, our tea time, and our workout in, and we're ready to rock. Before then, but I typically will protect my morning around those other areas of life,
Mm-hmm.
so I can be more productive in that other area. So I do my best to protect that morning ritual, and with some flexibility at times. So I usually have some people, they do something called an uncommon club, I call it. So they have to beat the sun up. They got to be up, and I email them at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, Monday through Friday. And I email them some kind of quote that I made or inspirational comment, just to say, hey, we're up, let's go, let's win this day, right? And they respond back to me with all like their goals or empowering statements, something positive, right, to start the day. Or they're going to the gym, or they're meditating, and they're doing something productive. And a lot of them are business professionals, so they got to go out there and rock the day. But to me, that's kind of helping them hold themselves accountable, waking up earlier, and for some of them, really early compared to what they used to do. And they feel so much better. They're getting so much more done before they even start their day, and they're rocking and rolling because they feel energized, And so I think that's a very good success habit to start our day.
You're right. You're very, very right. You know, there's this quote from the movie The Frisco Kid, and it's at the end. I'm not sure if you've seen the movie, but it's about this rabbi who takes a Torah all the way across the United States, all the way into the West. And at the end of the movie, he does something, whatever, and everybody's cheering him on. He's like, I ain't a rabbi for nothing, So I was just thinking, you're not a grandmaster for nothing,
Yes, sir.
So, at this point, it seems like you've done a lot of work on yourself. You have a very tight schedule, ton of discipline. It seems like you're really progressing in all the areas of your life. What questions do you have about yourself at this point?
That's a great question. Grandmaster Kimmy says, before we go to bed, that's when we should start our meditation. So in reality, our meditation starts at night. So before we go to bed, we meditate, we lower our brain frequencies, go to sleep, restful sleep. We wake up, we go back to meditation. That's actually finishing meditation. So here are some of the questions that he had challenged me to ask myself. If today was the last day of my life, how did I live? Did I love? Did I share? Did I inspire? Did I create value? Did I help? Or did I hurt? Right? And give yourself an assessment. How would I rate myself in my core 4? How did I do as a dad? How did I do as a husband? How did I do as a leader or a boss or a friend? How did I do as a coach? And you give yourself an assessment. How did I do within my personal best? I'm trying not to telegraph all I have a lot of tattoos. I love tattoos, but they'll have meaning. On my arm, I have this statement, and it says, be better every day. And it says lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. And my wish for myself is that I'm just becoming the best version of myself. And before I go to sleep, I ask, how did I do today? Did I live to my fullest? Did I love? Did I impact? Did I inspire? Did I help? And then when I start my day, the mentality he wants you to have is, if today was going to be my last day, if someone hurts me or is mean to me, I don't have time to be angry at them. I don't have time to get mad at them because today's my last day, right? And so how would you live if today's your last day? So for me, it's about growth, you know, and I believe if you're not growing, you're dying. It's a universal law. So I do my absolute best to just grow in my health, in my fitness, to grow in my businesses, to grow in my relationships, to grow in myself as a leader, and just continue to be a better version of myself every day. Does it mean I don't make mistakes? Bet your ass I do all the time, you know, and I have to just do my best to just be consciously aware of it, address it, and continue to move forward in the direction that I want to go in and how I define success in my life.
So with each section, it seems like the goal is to get it down to like a definite structured time. Like, okay, I have this number of minutes to do this number of minutes to do that, so on and so forth. So how are you challenging yourself to grow in each of those areas at a greater rate if you only have a certain amount of time to do it? And like how are you challenging yourself within the structure that you've built?
I think I create my own measuring sticks for each area. You know, it all depends on what area that you're particularly asking me about, right? So let's talk about family. So I have that time in the morning, and there have been times when I may just turn into the Hulk and unleash on, you know, and with something silly my son may do to piss me off. And how I respond, you know, or then I assess myself and say, I got, all right, 30, 45 minutes before these kids get on the bus, right? How am I going to maximize this 30, 45 minutes? I'm like, did I make them laugh? Did we, you know, hug and kiss? Did we ask questions? Did we engage? Like, I have to do my absolute best to kind of assess that time period that I have and maximize that 30, 40, 50 minutes. You know, in a little bit, you know, my wife also works with us in our martial arts school. So she's an instructor, kickboxing instructor, you know, coach. And so she'll be here shortly. And then even though we're kind of like in work mode, the questions I ask my kids, all right, what went well today at school? Who'd you sit with? What did you learn? What was your favorite part of your day? And I make sure I ask those questions and get responses. Before I go to, when we go home, I make sure that this is nowhere to be found. Like we're 100% present on each other, or well, maybe they just love to just, you know, have some downtime with each other and talk, or I don't watch really TV, but we love movies. We're movie geeks. And how present are we there? Before they go to bed, these are three things I say to them. It's been something that I've added. I say, I love you. I'm grateful you're my son, or I'm grateful you're my daughter, and I'm proud of you. I make sure I say those three things. So from a family standpoint, I do my best to just assess how I did with my attention and being present. You ever see the movie The Click with Adam Sandler?
Yes.
Remember he was there, but then he wasn't there?
Yeah, like fast forwarded.
It's fast forwarding, right? Man, I watch that movie. Every time I watch certain scenes, I cry like a little baby. You know, I cry at the scene when his dad's, you know, was dead, and he goes the last time when he saw his dad, you know, in his office. And man, I cry every time. You know, I cry at the scene at the end when he's telling his kids, family, when he's dying of a heart attack. And I remember that movie consciously to remind myself. And actually, this is a statement I say. I'm happy, I'm present, I live in the moment, and I still plan for my family's future. I'm happy, I'm present, I live in the moment, and I still plan for my family's future. Dude, I operate 10 companies, okay? I have 10 companies to operate. I'm really fucking busy, okay? All right? And I got limited time with my kids and limited time with my family. And when I'm sitting there with them, you don't think my mind's racing of all the stuff I got to do? But I have to remind myself, be present. You know, when I'm at the gym, I got to remind myself, this is my time. Every rep counts. Everything counts. When I'm doing martial arts, this is my time to just be totally one with myself and my training. And when I'm with my wife, I have to focus and be present with her. It's not easy, but guess what? You and I, we have this time together. Nothing else matters except for you and I right now. Right. And
Right.
so when I'm present, for me, that's one of the ways I can measure improvement in a certain area with that. Now, when you talk about business, I'm with you right now, but I have 4 martial arts schools being operated, and I'm not there. I had to scale out and duplicate my business model. So Grandmaster Melella is not there, but my philosophy and my systems are in place, and they're impacting other communities. And I have, even though it's my fault and I did it, they're doing it. So that's how I measure my success in business growth. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'll measure my success in my fitness on how well I did from this past competition to the other one I just did. So yeah, I create measuring sticks, but those intangible things that I can't jump on the scale, I can't see the numbers on the results. When it comes to relationships and family, that's what I'm referring to. I got to create measuring sticks in my own mind, how I can assess how Paul Melella did today as a dad, how Paul Melella did today as a husband, how Paul Melella did today as a leader. And that's one of the ways I can assess with that time that I have, right? So funny is my daughter's 13. I've been doing this thing, right? So I got a calculator, and I don't know, but we tuck them to bed still at night. Say goodnight. Lay in the bed. Whatever for a second. But she's 13, man. Is she gonna do that for another year? Like at 14, Dad, it's a little creepy now, like coming in the bed saying goodnight. You know what I mean? Like, so if I'm able to put her to bed, is 52 weeks in a year, maybe, once a week, twice a week. What do I have, like 100 more times to do that? Right. And I go, tonight, then I just put my daughter Kiana to bed. I got 99 more times. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My parents are, I'm 45. So they're 66, going to be 68, 69. If you saw your parents once a month, once a year, how many more years they have to live? And you look at it that way and go, I got 10 more times to see my parents, 50 more times to see my parents. And me, that changes the paradigm in my mind on how I view my time with my family, my significant other, and it changes my paradigm around it. And so I assess that way. That's another way I've been looking at life. But I don't know if that answers your question or not, but hopefully it does.
Absolutely. And it also seems like one key element there is being brutally honest with yourself of, hey, did I just waste that fucking minute? Was that just like, was that something that I did that was so against what I believe? Oh wow, I need to change that. It seems like that brutal honesty is such a core piece of the whole system.
And at times, sometimes I do. But then, like you said, I got to be honest. I'm like, man, I just wasted that half hour, that whatever, and that's, to me, is you and I can't get that back. We can't get that time back, and I think it's super important that we kind of perceive life like that, and so I look at my calendar and I want to be able to maximize my day, right? And from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to bed, if there's blank spots in my phone, then I'm saying to myself, how am I going to fill that gap that's going to be most productive in one of those core 4 areas of life? And we're having this conversation. It's October 24th. I don't know when it's getting launched, but a lot of people want to finish the year strong. And there's only a couple more weeks left of the year. So when you want to finish strong, you got to make sure that you're really honing in on activity, productive activity that's going to get you the most results. So before you cross this finish line here, you know, and to me, that's most important. And believe sometimes, even on a Sunday, I don't want to do anything. I want no agenda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No agenda. Sometimes I have to do that too, you know, just to kind of just chill. So don't get me wrong. Even though I'm so regimented, there are times when I'm like, all right, no agenda. Actually, cool. Let's not have an agenda today and just kind of go with the flow, you know? And we did that last week, my wife and I. We took the kids hiking, and we literally hiked where I live in upstate New York, about 50 miles north of Manhattan. We're in a beautiful Hudson Valley, New York, and there's a place called Turkey Mountain. And we basically just hiked, got to the top. You can actually see the skyline of Manhattan, and it overlooks the Hudson River. And we didn't have an agenda. We just went out, hiked in nature, talked, BS with each other, went, had lunch, and went to a friend's house on their boat. Like, just played it by ear. Sometimes that's good too. But for the most part, a lot of people don't have a scheduled, disciplined day or week. And that's dangerous because, in my humble opinion, you're just you're leaving your life open, and I want to make sure I hone in. And I say attention equals love, right? Attention equals love. If I ignored my wife and kids, they're not going to feel that I love them. If I ignored my business, my business is going to die down. If I ignored my health, no good. So attention and focus equals love. How much attention are you paying towards your business, your health, your family, your significant other, or whatever areas of life that are important to you, your spirituality, whatever. Or if you're younger, having fun, like when I wasn't married and I didn't have kids, a lot of my attention went to fun. and so, you know what I mean? But now my areas are different because of where I am in my lifetime, right? But that's what I focus my energy towards.
That's awesome. Well, Paul, I want to thank you for coming on the show today and sharing your time and your focus and your attention with me today. I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you, sir.
I want to be very respectful of your time, and I do have one more question for you. Then
Yes,
we'll
sir.
wrap it on up. But what question should I be asking you that I just wouldn't think to ask?
What question should you ask me? Wow, that's a powerful question. You actually stumped me right this second. Maybe asking if I enjoy this type of mindset. And to answer that question, like, do I enjoy this? And years ago, I didn't enjoy it. I was really influenced by my teacher, my grandmaster, this type of lifestyle training. And I kind of damned it. I don't want to say it, but, I would always complain and not be appreciative of it, right? And I did it because in the martial arts, you just say, yes, sir. And what I realized, fast forward 20 some odd years into the future, because he was so hard on me and, had high expectations, I did it. But I am so grateful for the guidance that I got from him. And I wish I showed more appreciation earlier and I had more of an awareness of it when I was younger. It took me longer time to appreciate what my teacher and my mentors did for me, as far as helping me with this type of disciplined mindset, so to speak. And so at times I didn't enjoy it. Times I don't want to be Grandmaster Melella. There are times I don't want to be as disciplined. Sometimes I use the word uncommon versus common. Sometimes I just want to be common. And, but then I take a look and I'm like, I am so grateful for the guidance, the structure, and the push. And I am grateful and appreciative of the lifestyle that I am choosing to have now. And in the beginning, it was not easy, pain in the ass, but really appreciate the lifestyle that I'm choosing to have now.
And I guess I have to ask one more question
Go
based off
for
of
it.
that question. Is it worth it?
I believe it is worth it. You know, the reason why is I was just with a good friend and a client just this week in Buffalo, New York. Is a very successful financial planner, and still fairly in my world young. Maybe just turned 60. His wife was a couple years younger than him, and he does very well financially. He's got two beautiful kids and beautiful home and beautiful practice. But his wife died last year, way too young then. Like she was in her early mid 50s, and he says, "I lost my best friend. I will never see my best friend for the rest of my life." And his faith is God and Jesus, and not to bring that up at all, but he goes, Jesus is now with my wife is with him, and uh, and not with me. And when I look at that and I hear that, I not only feel that when I look at success and I look at focusing on my health, focusing on my relationships, I focus on my health because I want to be able to do and live over 100 years old, because to me, that's most important. Never know when that intimate relationship is there or not there. So got to make the best of it. And how many more times do I have with my kids before they see you later, daddy, and I wish they were, cuddling with me and doing that stuff. And, I cannot take for granted my businesses. I've been given a gift of being an entrepreneur and helping people, whether it's in my martial art organization or coaching clients. And to me, when I'm not here, I want to leave a legacy. I want people to remember me of not what I had or what I accomplished, but who I was as a person and the imprint I left on their life and the imprint I left on this world. And when I look at the things I'm doing now in my life at 45, it's worth it. If I'm able to inspire somebody to be healthier by drinking water, because you believe how many people now that have come in contact with you that carry a gallon of water, or someone said, oh, that green powder, that green drink, and they're healthier and their cholesterol dropped, or the book that they read or whatever changes their life because of the habits that I had. I inspired them to be better every day. To answer your question, F yeah. Now, I'd be dropping a little bit more if I'm being respectful, right? It is worth it.
Well, you don't have to watch language at all, so fuck yeah. It sounds
Okay, then I was just like, fuck yeah, it's worth it. Kind of feeling you out, man.
Well, Paul, again, thank you so much.
Sure.
Seriously, dude, this has been a very meaningful interview and
Me too, man.
meaningful conversation. So thank you very, very much for everything that you do and for the time that we've shared today.
Yes, sir. Thank you much.
And to everybody's watching and listening, I want to thank y'all. I love y'all. So thank you very much for being a part of the show and being a part of what we're trying to do here. So thank you very much. Thank you again, Paul. And I will see all of you on the next episode.